Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Today I have the privilege and pleasure of introducing you to a man that I've known for almost 20 years. He has been and continues to be a great leader in our state. He has accomplished a great deal in his time in the legislature, rising to become the chairman of the powerful Committee on Ways and Means, and for the past 7 years, the Speaker of the House. His many achievements are too long to list in this short time, but I can assure you that Massachusetts is in a better place because of his leadership. This organization and every other organization associated with suicide prevention across this state owes him a debt of gratitude. He has personally been involved and responsible for all of the state assistance we receive to help us achieve our goals. In the 10 years since my brother Jeff died by suicide, every time I have asked him to consider our requests, he has always championed our cause. He is committed to our mission because he is a man of great compassion. Saving a life has always been a worthy goal for him. He understands that when a depressed, confused, or desperate person reaches out to help, someone needs to be there to answer the call, to comfort or console them. Bobby, you may never know how many lives you've saved because of your efforts. On behalf of all of those who have survived, and from all of the many families that have been spared the loss of a loved one, I thank you. And now it gives me great honor to introduce to you my friend and the Speaker of the House of Massachusetts, Bob DeLeo.
Thank you very much, Deb, for that extremely kind introduction. You know, I meet with many organizations in my role as Speaker, and I have to say, I don't know if I know of anyone as passionate and as committed an advocate as Debbie DiMasi. Debbie, in addition, obviously, to her intelligence, brings such an amazing compassion to this work, and she's very hard to say no to. Let me just keep it very simple. Not only by me, but I can tell you by many of my colleagues as well, who always tell me what a compelling argument that she makes relative to this cause. I'm so pleased to be here with all of you today to thank you for the critical and crucial services that you provide. As I've worked with the Samaritans over the years, I've learned of how you boldly designed a new blueprint for suicide prevention. And thanks to the Samaritans, I believe that Massachusetts has one of the lowest rate of suicides in the country. And for that, I want to thank you. And it's my hope that there will be other organizations that will take your lead. Similarly, I think that we in the House want to support those efforts, which is why we created a very new line item in this year's budget, providing some $400,000 for the Samaritans. I also sincerely want to thank you for your new hotline and creating a new texting hotline. I've been pleased to see some of these ads at the T stations, and I believe that this hotline is going to save lives. Over the past few years, the House has prioritized issues that can lead to suicide and self-harm, like addiction, mental health, homelessness, and domestic violence. Recognizing that more than 60% of all firearm deaths are categorized as suicides, the 2014 House's landmark gun safety bill includes multiple measures related to suicide prevention. For example, we heightened our training for educators, healthcare providers, and firearm owners and dealers, and we now require DPH to collect, analyze, and report on suicides. I believe that these provisions are one of the reasons our law has been hailed as some of the strongest in the nation. You know, it's very interesting to note, if I can go off script here for a second. I could tell you as speaker, especially upon whether it's doing the budget or just meeting with various advocates on a day-to-day basis, how I have to tell you something which I have learned and didn't realize how big an issue that it was, and that's the issue of suicide. It's interesting to note that in one of my roles, I meet with the folks at the senior centers throughout the Commonwealth and have one of the advocates for the seniors from the state come to see me every year. And one of the issues he was talking about was how we can help seniors. And as we're going through some of the concerns that they have relative to, family members or whatever it may be, I was shocked actually to learn about the effect and the problems that seniors have with suicide. So much so that I changed the formula that we use relative to our seniors to make sure that there is a certain amount of money set aside for senior suicide prevention. In addition to that, as I'm working on the gun safety legislation, as I just had mentioned, never looking at probably as an issue relative to, crime and trying to prevent deaths by guns getting into the wrong hands. But what do I also learn about the issue relative to suicides, in particular, relative to guns? Next Wednesday, I hope to take up a bill relative to transgender rights here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And many people have spoken to me, both pro and con, about my whole reasoning and decisions and whatnot. But again, what did I learn relative to as I dealt with that issue? That this transgender community is a community which suffers from the loss of people through suicide at higher rates than other folks. Students, whether in high school or college, how many times have we heard or read about situations during exam periods, just going through the struggles of growing up, have lost their lives through suicide. So what I am saying is the fact that although I have to, and I will give Debbie most of the credit for making sure that I never forget this issue, and it's always brought to my attention, I'd have to tell all of you here today that we owe all of you a sincere thanks, because I think you understand and I think you appreciate what a terrible problem or issue that this is and that we all must deal with. There are so many different factors that I can tell you as Speaker of the House would not have even realized. And if I didn't realize it, I'm sure that there are a whole lot of folks out there in our Commonwealth who don't realize. So I thank you for bringing it to our attention. I thank you for doing something about it and making sure that it is at the forefront of one of the primary issues that we have to deal with. In closing, I just want to say what a privilege it has been to work with the Samaritans. I hope that as the Commonwealth's residents continue to face challenges that increase the risk of suicide, particularly the challenges related to the intersection, which I see again, between mental health and addiction, our strong relationship will get even stronger. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here today.